Oh, shit. What's up, Neil?
I always think that you're talking from over there. I mean, it must be the headlights. The headlights or the earphones. I'm doing great, thanks. How about yourself, guys?
I'm doing awesome. So here we are, episode 6 of season 2.
Yeah.
I don't think people thought we'd make to episode 6 of season 1, so it's all those people after you, whatever. But hey, look who we got here with us. We got Erin Powers.
Hi guys. Good, how are you?
What's up, Erin? How you doing?
So,
Excellent.
Erin, welcome. I'm super excited to have you with us. You've obviously been one of our biggest supporters from day one, and we appreciate that. Especially
Absolutely.
spreading the word around the Cleveland area, right?
Right.
You actually drove in from Cleveland for us.
I
did.
did.
A special trip, or were you doing something else?
No, just for this.
Oh, how long of a drive was it for you?
It is about 2.5 hours from Cleveland to Westland, where my family lives, and then about another 45 here. But
all right, cool.
I cheated and came in yesterday. So
nice, awesome. Well, that's cool. So you got to come in and see the parents and stuff and all that. So that's
absolutely.
Awesome. So, for those of you who don't know, Erin is my wife Emily's cousin, who obviously you've known forever, but I got to know you for about the last 20 years now.
Yeah.
Actually, me and Emily's just
You'd
celebrated
have
our
to tell
20th,
me.
our 20th anniversary was January 23rd.
Oh, congratulations.
So yep, thank you very much, and couldn't be happier. So, also couldn't be happier about having you here.
Happy to be here.
So,
very happy.
The one thing I know, like I said, 21 years ago we met, and the one thing we connected on immediately was music.
Yeah.
Which is always the connector of the world. As I always say, like, you can be in a concert, there could be 100,000 people, and you don't agree with any one of them.
Right.
But it doesn't matter, because you're all enjoying the show.
Absolutely.
And that's the beauty of music. So I'm just really happy to have you here.
I'm happy to be. It's like, I wasn't being sarcastic when I said I get to be a guest on one of my favorite podcasts.
Well, that's good. That's good. It's a lot of fun, and having people like you, family and friends, and just connecting on music is really awesome.
Yeah.
When you think about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I saw Neil today when I got here, and I've only ever watched the podcast. Uh-huh. So I got here and I was like, oh, it's Neil, and I shook his hand, and I was, no, but I felt like I was meeting a celebrity.
Wow, that's crazy. So you know what? You probably.
And then I said, let's have a hug.
Yeah, and then we shared a moment.
Well, that's funny because I'm thinking about it. Well, you both would have been at the wedding. We known each other, and then I think maybe a graduation party, the very first one for Elena.
Oh, okay.
In Westland. And you were both there, but of course you wouldn't probably. That's funny. So that's awesome. Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing. You go to a concert by yourself, you can talk to someone, and the next thing you know, you're the best friend.
Right.
It's like I told the dudes at Diggable Planets, like, I'm going to talk your ear off, just tell me to shut up, like, oh, no, it's cool, it probably wasn't, but whatever.
Yeah. I mean, and, when you go to a show, I'm sure you've had experiences like this where you're in it and you're super into the show and the music that's happening, and then you look around and you make eye contact with someone that you don't know them at all, and you're just like, yeah. You too. It's just, there's no other environment I can think of where that happens.
No.
That shared experience, it's just incredible.
No, and I mean, one that you could try to compare is sports, but no, because you have two teams competing, so one side hates the other naturally.
Well, there's moments where you turn around and high five someone, but
nothing like it.
Yeah, it's not it's in between plays you're bored, you're looking at your phone, nobody does that at a show. You're in it.
And like I said, but one half's rooting for this, one half's rooting the other. In music, everyone's all rooting for the same one.
Yep.
And you're all there for the same reason. That's the beauty of it. Which is always the question we ask, what is it about live music for you?
Right.
What is it?
That's it, man. Like I said, you go to a show and you are people that you may in the real world have nothing in common with. Maybe you don't agree politically, or you just different lives. Different people live in different lives, and in that moment, in that venue, with that artist, you're in it together, and there's nothing that exists outside of that for that few hours. And particularly through the Brandi shows I've been to, which I know we'll talk about later, but I have friends that I've been friends with for 15 years now that are like some very, very close friends of mine that I met traveling for concerts to see Brandi. I mean, that's we talk online about Brandi. We go to shows together, and it's like coordinating who's going to what shows and where we're going to see each other, and it's just it literally now, especially with social media, creates communities. Like it's just
it's that whole thing's a game changer.
Yeah,
the whole social media, right?
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
You can stay in contact in between those shows, so then you're going to the next one,
right?
And like you're not catching up again. It's like you're just there together.
Yeah, I mean, and even like organizing tailgates before shows. We have Blossom in outside of Cleveland, and it's kind of like our Pine Knob, and you go and it's like you get there and you can tailgate before the show, and so everybody's out and you plan to meet up with friends, and it's every concert to me is like an event, or like its own.
So it's funny. I mean, we'll get it all over the place. But you mentioned tailgating because, like, in these groups on Facebook, and I mentioned about driving to the concert.
Yep.
So when you go drive to the concert, do you listen to the band that you're going to see, or do you not listen to the band that you're going to see?
I don't have a set rule about that.
But do you, I mean, sometimes you actively listen to it.
I'll do it. Oh, yeah. Sometimes I'll intentionally put it on and be like, I want to get fired up. Let's go,
Okay.
Or like while we're tailgating, I'll put on that band or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It just kind of depends on my mood. Sometimes I'm in the mood to do it. Sometimes I'm not. But what I do like to do is after the show, I like to get in the car and blast that artist.
Yeah, okay.
Like, I love listening to the artist on the way home.
So
I'm like reliving it.
And all I do now is with the playlist. I have a 1,400 song playlist that keeps growing, and I just put it on random. So if it shows up while I'm going to or from, great. But it was funny because I put out, or does everyone tailgate?
Right.
Do you listen, or what do you do? Listen to while you tailgate? And so many comments are like tailgate. As soon as we get there, we're right in there. I'm like, oh wow. But you know what? Now that I've gotten older, like sometimes I'm like, let's just go get in line. And other times you're like, you want to like take it easy. It just depends on the show, right?
It does depend on the show. Like, it depends on the venue too.
Also.
Like, so if I'm going to like the Agora or one of the smaller venues downtown in Cleveland, or even like the Fox or something downtown Detroit, I don't tailgate for those. But when there's something about those like outdoor amphitheater parking in like a middle of a field,
right?
Where it's like it just you need to tailgate. So our process, because it is a process, is we leave and try to get there when the parking lot opens or as soon as we can. And then we hang out in the parking lot. We might have some snacks, I don't drink, so, water, soda, whatever. And then we do go in because I got to catch the openers. I always have to catch the openers. I don't like to miss a thing.
You know what? I've gotten to the point, and I mean, and the ones we've gone to, at least, Big Head Todd, we blew that one. But but no, we mentioned it before, the Mud Honey show, and we got there super early, stood in line, and we saw Hoover 3, and that band just totally kicked ass.
Yeah.
And it's like, I love having them on my playlist now. But no, Big Head Todd, we got there, it was at St. Andrews, and we were there by 7:30. We were just sitting in the parking lot, and we were just having a couple beers before you go in. We got in there, and it was no later than 10 to 8. And they'd already been playing for almost 25 minutes.
Oh my gosh! So they started like right away.
They went on like 7:30.
We missed some good songs.
Yeah, we did. We missed Resignation Superman. Yeah. We missed Groove Thing. I think we missed Circle. But they played but solid from like 7:30 apparently until almost 10 o'clock. I mean, it was a great show though. That was awesome. I mean, that took us back.
Yeah, that would have been. They played Cleveland actually. I think
the House of Blues.
Yeah, just.
House of Blues is a great. I mean, I've only been to the House of Blues in Orlando, but I'm assuming they're all pretty similar.
Yeah, I've only been to Cleveland, so. But yeah, I'm sure you're right. I know the one in Cleveland has a smaller room too. But they were playing the main theater at House of Blues in Cleveland, and I wanted to go, and I just didn't get. I even like amped myself up by listening to Big Heads out of it, and I just didn't go.
I tell you what,
kicking myself. I watch your videos. I'm like, damn it.
And that's the thing is like live, they're amazing.
Yeah.
And they always have been. They sound exactly the same. I mean, like there was another one where it was just me and Neil went to that. It was after the Lions won
Oh, one. Okay.
Won to go to
Yeah.
the NFC Championship.
Yeah.
So won, we're all on high, we get there, and I mean, awesome. And I mean, just unbelievable. We never said a word to each other really the whole time.
Yeah.
You know, it was like the Mudhoney show.
Mm-hmm.
Like we sat there and just are in that show, and like you're so focused. That's why I started realizing if you go by yourself, it's almost no different if it's a good show.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
You know, so I went to the Liz Fair and then Diggable Planets. Oh my God, Kalamazoo, and I know you've been there not that long ago.
Yeah.
Such a cool venue.
Very, very cool.
I mean, on the
venue.
inside, really cool, and then I mean, Diggable Planets were amazing.
They played the night after in Cleveland. That was another one I wanted to go to, and I
And you were
couldn't.
doing-
I
yeah,
came here.
You came, yeah, that's right, for the show.
For Flatland Cavalry. Yeah.
So who did you see at the Kalamazoo?
So at Kalamazoo State Theater, I actually went
Recently,
solo
right?
to that as well. I saw it was a Michigan music showcase with and I had to drive back to Detroit, so I didn't stay for the final band. I can't remember who that was. It's killing me. But Lindsay Lou was playing, so I went to see her set. Patty Pershela and the Mayhaps played. They were kind of awesome. Never heard of them. I haven't listened to them since, but they put on a hell of a show. And then Jordan Hamilton Trio, which Jordan Hamilton, there's
So I think I saw that was the video.
yeah. So there's Brandi connections to everything. Brandi Carlile connections to
Gotcha.
everything. When Brandi Carlile opened for Pink, her cellist here in Detroit, her cellist got COVID and couldn't perform. Jordan Hamilton played cello in her band for that show.
All right.
Yeah. And then I go and Jordan Hamilton Trio's playing Kalamazoo.
That's
but
crazy.
it was a keyboard, a DJ, and him on an electric cello. And he did some kind of like rapping and singing over it, but a lot of it was just music, and it was incredible. I've never seen anything like it.
Huh.
Yeah, he's got a few albums out, and it's just nothing that ever would have been on my radar if I hadn't seen them play.
And I mean, that theater. I mean, I was main floor, so I mean, I didn't really experience everything of it, right? But it was so cool too because the band that was supporting Diggable Planets was amazing.
Were they?
Oh my God! So like in between songs, they were just like grooving and stuff, and I mean the bass player was absolutely killer, and then him and the guitarist started actually like doing the sequence, you know, almost like a ZZ Top, and then they'd kick the leg, and it was so great. But the opening act, which was I forget the name, but he ended up being the drummer for the band that supported Diggable Planets too. Yeah, so, but yeah, that was one of those ones. Like I remember listening to them. I mean, you do too when we were in college, like in the early '90s. But they actually broke up in '95.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either. And then the 30th anniversary of the album, and they're touring now. So I don't know if they've done anything since.
Right.
But, you know, I was a small wormhole on the Googler, you know, when I was going to the show and stuff. But because I was interested, like, did they ever do anything more?
Yeah.
And it doesn't really appear that they did that much. But the show was like, it took you back 30 years.
Yeah, I was
sounded
disappointed
great.
to miss that one.
Yeah, it was super cool. You know, it was really cool to see, you know, it's a good hip hop show, but then when you support it with like that live band too, it just takes it to a whole different level.
Yeah, for sure.
I think the videos you put on were freaking amazing.
I know, the Rebirth of Slick
they're
one is
amazing,
awesome.
And that's one of those bands too, Diggable Planets. People like don't know that they know them.
Right.
Like I told Amy, I was like, I want to go to this Diggable Planet show, and she's like, I've never heard of it. I was like, you have heard them. You just don't know that you've heard them.
Right,
Like,
absolutely.
everybody knows Cool Like That, which is not actually the real title of that
exactly.
song.
Well, it is in the title. It's just
the
in
parentheses.
parentheses. Yeah, Rebirth of Slick.
Yep.
Cool Like That. But that was just so funny because it was the same thing. Like, said to Emily, like, you know, would you be interested in going to this show with me? And she's like, well, what is that? I said, well, Diggable Planets. And then she had it in her mind, it was Digital Underground. And I played the song, and she's like, this isn't
What is
Digital
it?
Underground. And I'm like, I know, it's Diggable Planets. And she's like, oh, that's right. And then I played like 3 more songs. She's like, yeah, I know every one of those.
Yeah,
You know,
she's
it's like-
waiting for like the Humpty dance.
Right? Exactly.
Dance is the chance
Which
to do the
Tupac was in
I
Digital
know,
Underground.
dude.
I bring it up every time.
Do you remember the movie Nothing But Trouble?
Yes.
You can see Tupac.
Yes.
You can see Tupac in
and
there.
he looks like such a geek. He looks like such a geek, just like Digital Underground did.
It's
but
awesome.
his verse and same song.
Yeah.
It's sweet.
Yep.
And that's like, when people don't realize, that's like your first introduction to Tupac. Really.
I know.
Yeah. I always bring that up to people. He was in Digital Underground. Like, no, he wasn't.
You're like, let me put this movie on and prove it to you.
And put it in the Googler, and it'll answer it. And, you know, you used to argue about shit like that for hours.
Yeah.
You know, and now you just put it in the Googler, and it's like, dude, done. Get out of my face.
That's awesome.
So, one thing I did want to talk to you about, we talked about this with our our very first guest on the show, John Doring, was Woodstock 99. So you went with John to Woodstock 99.
I did.
So we've talked to John about it. I think we talked to someone else about it.
Yeah.
Oh, Deho was there.
Yeah.
He left before.
Was it amazing?
Yeah, so I would get your take, and I mean,
my take is that I'm really glad that I went, because I went with a group of great friends, dudes and women that I'm still friends with to this day, and that I was friends with when we were young kids, you know. So it was like we graduated high school, and it was a big deal. We spent $125 on these tickets, which now, I mean, I can't imagine what those would go
like
for, right?
Yeah.
Which one? That's what blew me away. You guys were like 18, 19 years old, like literally.
I was 17. Yeah, we just graduated.
Yeah,
it was.
You got a late birthday. So
yeah, it was in August. I think, or I don't know, somewhere. It was in the summer, and But we, if I'm being honest, it was a miserable experience that I would not repeat. Yeah. It was hot. It was dirty. Yeah. I did, like, most of my time during the day was spent at our camp, because it was just too hot to move around.
Did you have enough water?
No.
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 Yeah,
you watched the documentary, and they didn't let you bring in water.
No,
nothing.
They kind of didn't tell you what you could or could not bring in. Mm-hmm. So I mean, we all had days worth of junk on our backs, and we get there, and they're like, "Oh, you can't bring in this jar of peanut butter that you brought for your nothing." I basically think we were able to bring in bread and marshmallow fluff, and maybe someone had a plastic jar of peanut butter. So that's what we ate the whole time we were there, was peanut butter fluff sandwiches.
And you guys were literally just out of high school, so you had no money with you to spend there.
No, all of our money went to the tickets, right? But it was just miserably hot.
You'd show up with like $20 thinking it's going to float you for a couple of days.
Right. Yeah. Now, what I will say is most of my experience was at those raves that they talk about at night, and I did not experience a lot of the chaos and a lot of the bad things that they talk about. My experiences there were pretty positive, but the only reason we did that was because at night, that was the time that it was cool enough to get up and move around. Yeah. And then...
That's an interesting...
Yeah, that is a good...
I mean, it was miserable.
Which also could lead to why maybe it was so insane. And some of those things that did happen was because that's when it was almost like the vampires came out.
Right,
you had to sleep during the day and try to survive.
Yeah. I mean, and then it was Saturday night. I finally was like, I gotta see some music, right? So I walked to the main stage, and I think I had a couple people with me. I don't even know. Like, we were kind of all over the place. But I got there, and Limp Bizkit was playing. So I caught almost all their set. I got to see Fred Durst crowd surf on the plywood. And that was cool. Like, I knew Limp Bizkit. I was happy to catch them. But Rage Against the Machine played after, and I did not know Rage at all.
So Rage played after Limp Bizkit?
Or did they?
I don't even know.
I think Rage played after. And that... not knowing anything about Rage Against the Machine turned me into a Rage fan. That show blew my mind. That was the first time I remember seeing a concert and being like, holy crap. Like, I always think you can kind of tell a good show if you come out of that show a bigger fan than you were when you walked in. And
it's hard not to, first of all, but when you become like, wow, it was almost like a life-changing thing.
Right. I mean, it went from me not really knowing anything about Rage to coming home and being like, I need to find everything, like, everything I can find.
So that was 99. Right?
That was, So there wasn't much, but
I saw them in 99.
But they had a couple of albums before that. I think they're
Yeah.
Yeah, 95 maybe was their first album, and then they probably had their second album there.
Well, that was a funny thing with them because it was like 95-ish in there when they first kind of really hit. Right?
Yeah,
because
right.
I think it might have been like Lollapalooza 94. I think they were like a second stage or something. Or ended up moving into the first. But there was always problems with the band. So it was like they went on hiatus, and then like the late 90s they were like back together, their tour, and they got another album which did very well. And actually that was a tour I saw, and I think this is part of me, like when I started like growing out of like just the, that type of music.
Yeah, sure.
Because me and Echan went to the show at the Palace.
Okay.
And it wasn't that they were bad. It was just like, I was just there and I'm like, I'm not having that good of a time.
Yeah, right.
But the whole crowd was totally there. Like,
yeah.
It had nothing to do, it was more me and like, but at that time I kind of already shifted into like a different style of music. And taste and, like it was like the Wilcos of the world and all this other stuff that you were going to. But I can totally understand it.
Yeah. Well, and I never
the first time I remember, because I had that CD where the Monks on Fire.
Yeah.
That's like the first one, right? I don't self-titled.
Yeah, I believe so.
And because I got that while I was still in college, I'm like, wow, that's great,
Right.
And I was never a big nu metal fan, like Korn and all that stuff, but they were a little different. They were almost like the bridge between, in my mind, like grunge and alternative and the nu metal.
Yeah.
Like they kind of were, they rode that whole wave.
Yeah, and they
but
didn't
were kind
have
of their own thing besides both of those genres.
Yeah, you're right. Like they kind of fit in the middle.
Right, in the middle of them, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Because it was different than what the normal grunge alternative was at the time.
Right.
But it was all just 4 instruments. Because like Tom Morello on his guitar almost sounds like that DJ.
Yep.
Like the nu metal would have or whatever.
Kinda.
But so it was like that thing, and then all of a sudden people took that with the scratching and everything else, and that's where I was like, with the Limp Bizkit.
See, I was the same way with like Limp Bizkit and Korn and all those, but like they're fine.
But I get it.
Like,
I totally get it.
They're fine, but like I never, like I was honestly at that time, and I don't know, I've always had a wide range when it comes to musical taste, but like I was like super into Jewel and like.
Right. No, absolutely.
Why wouldn't you be?
But the other thing, on the way to Woodstock '99, I rode with John and him and his friend Kevin, and they were like, "You got to listen to Al Green." And I didn't know Al Green. Like I knew a couple of Al Green songs, but I didn't really know it was Al Green. So they played Al Green for me, and I don't want to say it changed my life, but it kind of changed my life, right? So we have this miserable weekend experience at Woodstock. Sunday morning, Al Green's supposed to play the main stage, and I'm like, I am doing this. I'm getting up during the day. I'm walking to the main stage. I'm going to see Al Green. So we all walk to the main stage to see Al Green. And we wait and we wait and we wait. And Al Green didn't show. I'm still mad at him. And I don't even know. I'm still mad at him.
That was so funny because John Shack, who was our first 2-time guest on our show, went to Al Green down in Detroit not that long ago. And
he sang a couple.
It was some mixed reviews. Well, I mean, the dude's 80, right?
Yeah, right.
And by the sounds of it, he's not a Steve Miller 80.
Yeah.
Where he's
I just saw Steve Miller. Right. He's got it, man.
Right? Did you see him with the Eagles?
Yeah, I sure did.
Were you with Debbie?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I talked about that last episode.
Yep.
Because he's coming with Def Leppard and Journey at Comerica.
Yeah.
So it's Steve Miller first, then Journey, then Def Leppard at Comerica. And I said, I'm pretty sure that Steve Miller ended up opening up for the Eagles, but he wasn't supposed to.
It was supposed to be the Doobie Brothers.
The Doobie Brothers.
I think, right?
Yes, I think that's right.
Yeah, my dad was super pumped, so he was disappointed when...
but then they got, in the 11th hour, they just called Steve Miller, but that dude's 80 years old right now.
He was fantastic.
That's crazy.
He was so crazy. I couldn't believe it. Like, and that was another guy, like, I know, like, a couple of Steve Miller songs that I know, but... He played for like an hour, and I was like, I know every single one of these songs.
Well, some people call me a space cowboy.
Call me the gangster of love.
I'm the gangster of love.
Am I going to have to get you guys t-shirts?
But I've always said that I think when you were a freshman in high school, when you walked in your first day, you were handed that CD, the Steve Miller Greatest Hits 74 to 78.
We all liked it. We all liked it, but we didn't know why.
Right, we were just supposed to.
Yep. Oh, man.
That's hilarious.
A girl in high school that I knew, she goes, man, it was like, we're just in class, like language arts, you know, it's like, we're just, you know, listening to the teacher lecture, right? She turns around and says, man, I really wish I really need to listen to Steve Miller Band. I'm like, what? I'm like, what? This is 1994. I'm like,
This is 94.
I'm like, all right.
Oh, God.
I won't say her real name. All right, Jessica.
All right,
I really want to
She knows who she is.
Steve Miller Band. I'm like, all right.
Yeah, but yeah, we in Woodstock
So
we
bored.
were at the we were at the Fat Boy Slim performance when somebody decided to drive a van into the hangar, and we left.
Oh, jeez.
And then in the morning, woke up Sunday morning, and we were, it was already things were getting kind of wild. They were starting to tear stuff down, and we were just pissed and miserable, and decided to take off.
You got out
So
before the
Yeah.
Needed water
Yeah, and that's-
and food. Like, I'm getting out of here.
yeah, I mean it was everything it appeared to be in the documentaries. It was not a good time.
I tell you,
Sucks.
the day that came out, I think it was the day I watched it. And
Yeah.
I watched it all the way through, and then the next day I told Kenny, I'm like, you have to watch this with me. I mean, it's
Yeah.
insane. Like, I couldn't even imagine what it was like there.
It was like,
And it was before any of the social media, but it was still like, but it was at where it was still getting out that it was horrible.
well, and that's
You know,
what
but
I
it
look
didn't
at
have-
it now.
Like, it couldn't even happen now.
No.
If it
gosh,
did,
no.
they would just shut that shit down.
But I look at it now, and all I can think is I was 17 years old, and I
Right.
wonder, like,
You weren't even an adult.
were my parents watching the news? And like, what would you think if you were seeing that on TV and your kids were there, and we didn't have cell phones?
No.
Like, I
Yeah.
couldn't call my parents and be like,
It's like
"Hey,
they
we're
had a bank
good."
of payphones
Right.
in that site. I mean, they didn't even have water.
And if they did have payphones, you had to hike 5 miles to get to them in 110-degree heat. So,
right. Just
but
assume I'm okay, parents. It's all right.
yeah, I mean, we came out unscathed.
Well, that
you
was
know,
why
but-
you had a good group of people, and you looked out for each
Yeah.
other, and you were wise enough to realize when it was starting to get
Yeah.
really bad, they could just get the hell out.
I would like to repeat the experience at a different time and place.
Right. Yeah, I'm with you on that one. I've never gone to like a huge festival like that, you know, where it's multi-day. It's always been
Yeah.
like the 7 bands at Lollapalooza the same day, or Horde Fest or something like that, which I love because you get more bang for your buck.
Right.
But
Yeah.
I don't even know if I could even do like a multi-day.
So
Unless you're like literally going to the event and then coming back to someplace sweet where I could just crash and have a great time
yeah.
and not have to camp and all that shit. I could probably do that.
So I can't remember what year it was, but the very first Rothbury Music Festival, which is in Western Michigan, it's where they have Electric Forest now.
Okay.
And that, I was so nervous to go to it because it was a handful of years after Woodstock, but I was like, I don't know about another music festival.
Right.
It was incredible. They had actual like trailers that you could go into and take a shower. The porta potties were cleaned on a daily basis, and there was like, I swear, a porta potty for every person, and like
Right.
garbage cans everywhere. In the middle of the crowd, they had garbage cans that were emptied regularly, like just basic infrastructure stuff that makes a festival work.
Absolutely. Which is the bottom line why
Right.
Woodstock broke down. You had, first of all, no place to get out of the heat and the sun.
Yeah.
But then the infrastructure broke down like day one pretty much. And I mean, you can't get out of it at that point.
Yeah.
You know, it's just a spiral. So, who else? You said Roth?
Rothbury, yeah, it was Rothbury Music Festival, and I don't have my spreadsheet, but they only did it for a few years, and then they switched over to the Electric Forest.
Okay.
But check out the lineup. It's one of those lineups where, like, I saw Snoop Dogg played. I saw
Okay.
Snoop, and
I remember seeing that.
We were all the way over on the west side of the state, like I think north of Muskegon.
Okay.
And the whole time Snoop was like, "What's up, East Lansing?" Everyone's like, All right.
In his mind, it was Eastlands.
Yeah.
Snoop played.
That was the last place he was awake.
Yeah, right? Dave Matthews played.
Okay.
Michael Franti and Spearhead played.
Okay, so I remember seeing that one. I've always liked them.
They're a blast.
I've never seen them live, but like I have at least like 4, 5, 6 songs of theirs on my playlist.
They're an absolute
and I just
blast.
happen to pick them up on like the 107.1 in Ann Arbor or something randomly. I'm like, wow, it's fun music.
There was one morning he led a yoga session.
Oh, really?
And he like played his guitar and led the session, and I don't do yoga, but I sat and watched it. It was awesome.
Do yoga?
There some people do.
I'm sure the majority of our fans do.
Yep.
I'm sure all of them do.
That's what we're doing after this.
We have that kind of following.
We're going to go in the workout area over there, or what I usually call the walkthrough area. Yoga.
I'm drinking the energy drink for fit people.
More yoga later.
You'd be more prone to do yoga than us.
But yeah, that's funny. No, but that's one of those bands like a lot of people don't even know.
Yeah.
Like to be honest, I don't even really know how it works because it's always Michael Franti and Spearhead. So it's like one dude, and then he only gets together with a band, or is that just their name?
So,
or how does that work?
I have seen Michael Franti without Spearhead.
Okay.
But I've never seen Spearhead without Michael
gotcha.
Franti. So
I got you.
I don't know what that means, but
He locks them up except for when he's going on tour with them. They're usually in gimp masks. If you don't know what that is, watch Pulp Fiction. About an hour and 30 minutes in. I don't know.
He just says, bring out the gimp.
Gimp's asleep.
Wake him up. Too far.
Yeah, we went way too far. So speaking of Lilith Fair.
That was the best segue.
No, but you did. The reason I wanted to bring that up, I think you saw Sinead there.
I did.
Didn't you? Wow.
I did. She spent a good portion of her time trying to get what you called the candy fluff man to come to the stage and bring her cotton candy. But no, she was incredible. There were, like at the time, I mean, Sinead O'Connor was...
So what year was this?
That would have been... God, I'd have to look. I'd have to check my records.
Do you think like
90s,
90s,
for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, it might have been early 2000s, very early 2000s, but...
But she had already been like exiled and everything. But she
Oh,
never
yeah.
stopped making.
No,
she
she
never
never
stopped
did.
making very good music. Like,
She never
was always
did.
made very good music and always toured and everything.
Yep.
But never had that,
And she was there, like she didn't have really, any other big hits. So it had
Right.
been Nothing Compares to You came out in the 80s,
Late 80s,
early 90s.
90. Yeah.
Yeah, late 80s.
And so she's up there performing with like Natalie Merchant, who had big hits at the time, and all these other acts that were very active and very well known. And it was so much fun. Like, it's not what I expected, but she was actually got the crowd very involved, and she sounded excellent. I mean, I don't know that she could sound anything but excellent. She had a great voice, but
She was amazing.
yeah,
Absolutely amazing.
Yeah, that was
way ahead of her time.
Gosh,
So
I'm glad that that's awesome.
Right, because
Yeah.
my brother Paul was like the biggest Sinead fan ever.
Really?
but
Okay.
That was like you said, it was like 88, 9, 90.
Right.
Like when she blew up in like 90. And then it was a very short time. It was
Yeah.
only like a year and a half before
Then she had to
the whole
go on Saturday Night Live.
and then blew it all up. But like I said, she never stopped. But did you guys by chance see the Grammys?
I
They
did.
The In Memoriam?
I did.
So when they did
Annie Lennox.
Annie Lennox sang.
and
then it was is it Wendy and Lisa
Wendy and
from
Lisa.
Prince's band?
So not to.
geez.
I'm gonna blow your mind right now.
I'm already blown.
At Girls Just Want a Weekend, which just happened in January, Annie Lennox and Wendy and Lisa were both there and performed.
Really? That's crazy. So where was that at?
That was in Mexico.
Oh,
I was there last year, but yeah, that Sinead O'Connor tribute. I always like the in memoriams anyway.
I do too, but that one hit really, that was a little different.
It did, and I'm not like, I respect Annie Lennox, she's a legend, but I'm not really a big Annie Lennox fan. Like, I don't listen to, you know, the Eurythmics. Or
she has a great voice.
She does.
Great voice, and I would say early, like, Eurythmics growing up, I mean, some of those tunes still resonate, but it's like I never followed her or anything, right? But she's still, like...
And I think that Sinead O'Connor would have been proud of how she used that platform.
I agree.
Like, agree 100%. Or disagree with her position. I think that she would, you know, I can't speak for Sinead O'Connor, but I think that she...
No, I agree with you on that. Yeah, because she gave a little something at the end, Annie Lennox did, and I think that was something that Sinead probably would have been like, you know, give a little nod to, for sure. Because like I said, she was way ahead of her time. Yeah. And stuff that she was talking about in the 90s is stuff that actually happened. Mm-hmm. You know, like, believe me, Two Dudes is not a political organization or anything. I mean, but she was talking about in the 90s about, like, women's rights and stuff, and then it finally was passed, like, in 2017 in Ireland or something. But they actually came back and did, like, a public apology to Sinead O'Connor.
Yeah, I mean, she was ruined.
Right.
And unreal.
But I will say, she was, I mean, when those songs come on my playlist and I'm driving, I'm like, yes. You know, like some of those ones are like,
I mean,
and like Sinead comes on, it's like, every time I love it.
And Nothing Compares to You is like a song that you put on and have a good cry when you're by yourself. Right. Like, even Two Dudes have a good cry when they listen to that song.
Mandinka is my favorite.
Yeah. Oh, that's a great song. That's a fantastic song.
And that is the one I brought up before on the show. Like, pull up her performance at the Grammys singing that. And keep in mind, she's like 20, 21 years old. There's no one else on the stage but her, and she just destroyed the stage. And mind you, she had the Public Enemy emblem in her head, because they were boycotting it because there was, I think, the rap group or the rap award wasn't televised.
Correct. Yep.
Like, either they didn't have it yet or it wasn't televised. They did it on like the day before show. Yeah. So she like stood in solidarity and like she was
to like
and
support
she didn't
them.
care.
Yeah.
She totally just did her own thing. And you know what? She paid the price for it. And then the funny thing is, in the end, she pretty much hit it on almost every single one of them. Yeah. She was just way before her time.
Yep. I mean, I don't know. I don't usually, like, I will listen to songs that are political even if I disagree with their message 100%. Just because I like the way it sounds. Absolutely. Like, I don't care. I've
seen bands where they're up there and they're saying whatever, and it's like, I don't care if I agree with you, but the show's great. Yeah. Like, you have to be able to separate everything between the music and whatever the message, whatever they're doing. If you can't do that, then you're not a true fan of it. Yeah. And don't be at the show. But like, if you truly like their music, you can put anything else aside. In my mind.
Yeah, I agree.
There's very little that's gonna, like, be like, okay, I'm not gonna listen to you.
Yeah, bathroom break.
Right. Maybe that band Alan was talking about. I don't know what their name even was, but then maybe not.
Oh shit.
What? So, what else? Well, back to the Grammy thing. So, one, I thought that was really cool that they brought Wendy and Lisa out, right? Like, I have no idea what their names really are.
No, I think they're Wendy and Lisa.
No, I think they are. I have no idea more about them. But it was just from Prince's band. It was always the two chicks, right?
Yeah, right.
I would say. But they played with Annie Lennox singing Nothing Compares to You, which obviously means the Prince estate okayed that.
Oh, yeah. You know, I didn't even think about that.
Because they did not okay to play that song in the Sinead O'Connor documentary.
Right.
That was just out not that long ago.
I didn't even think about that.
So that was the first thing I thought about. I'm like, wow, so they must have allowed it. And then, probably because it had nothing to do with Sinead or something.
Yeah.
You know, but it was his song and Annie Lennox and then the two, you know, which I thought that was the coolest tribute ever.
Yeah, that's very cool.
To have Wendy and Lisa come out from his band.
I didn't even think about that connection.
Yep. So you saw Violent Femmes not that long ago.
I did.
Where was that at?
That was at the Agora
so you're
in
from
Cleveland.
Well, yeah, so you're from Cleveland, so the Agora would be something like our Fox or
State No, I would call the Agora probably our Royal Oak Music Theater.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's
Royal Oak is so great.
Yeah, and this, I actually, just having seen Flatland Cavalry there, And I had seen Violent Femmes, obviously, at Agora not too long ago. So when I walked into Royal Oak, I was like, oh, this is just like the Agora. Like, it's tiered like that.
Where were you at in Royal Oak for Flatland Clairville?
That was at the Music Theater.
No, but where were your seats?
We had general admission, so we were on one of the tiered sections off the floor.
Okay. I gotcha.
So I went.
So not main floor, but like the second or third main floor.
Right, because I like to be able to see.
right. No, I gotcha.
And I always get stuck. I got someone like you in front of me every single time, Cal.
I always say, one, because I always record, right? But I always keep my phone within my body frame.
Yeah, I do the same.
So
concert etiquette.
Whatever. And I look at the people and say, if I'm in your way, let me know. And they say they'll work around me or whatever, and you're good.
Yeah.
You don't have to be a dick. I mean, just okay, we work it out, right?
Yeah, right.
But I went to Diggable Planets, and I might have said this a couple episodes. I don't even care because it kind of rubbed me the wrong way. I'm out there for the opener. And, I mean, there's no one there. So you're just kind of hanging out. But as soon as the opener leaves the stage, you're jockeying for where you want to be. But it's still not busy.
Yeah.
And long story, I mean, there's a couple of dudes, and then there's a couple of ladies over here. And I'm right here, and I mean, I'm already on your ass. Like, I'm going to be right here the whole time. Anyway, can you just move, like, literally, if you moved 12 inches that way, and I'll even go sideways.
Right.
And like I'm trying to, and like I don't know these people. I'm like, motherfucker, I don't care I don't know any of you people, but there's room. And they never budged.
No.
And I'm like, well, fuck, I'm not gonna be that guy either. Where I'm just gonna just and get in there.
Well, everyone has that's the thing. I think you just have to respect about a general admission main floor show is everybody has a right to be there.
100%.
So if I don't want to be on the floor with tall people, I'm not gonna be mad at the tall people. I'm gonna go find somewhere where I can see. So I'll get there early where I can be on the railing or like somewhere.
Right. And that was the thing is, I was there plenty of time and there was room. I'm like literally like you could, and if you moved 8 inches, I can talk to these two. I'll coordinate it all. But they're like, I don't know. We're just. I'm like,
never.
I'm not going to complain. I'm like the second person behind the fact,
Yeah.
So whatever. But there's nothing like being in one of those small venues, is there?
No, and I just recently, like within the past year or so, started checking out the smaller venues in Cleveland. So the Agora was one. And then we have the Cleveland Masonic, which is, they call it Temple Live. And that was very cool, too. It is just...
So you say like Temple Live?
Temple Live, yeah.
So I wonder if that has anything to do with Kemba Live. I wonder, is there any connection there?
I don't know. Actually, they do kind of... I mean, Kemba is a credit union in Columbus.
Oh, is it?
I just know from living there, so I think...
Probably not.
But, like, I was
what
thinking
a great venue is that is.
That is such a cool...
That is we saw Smashing Pumpkins there.
That...
Like, there's 5,000 people, and it's an outdoor it's indoor, and it's winter, but, I mean, we went in May. I mean, because obviously I'm a huge Pumpkins fan.
Yeah, right.
And I went to everything up until about 2000. They broke up and whatever. And then I remember seeing them the thing is, I tried to buy the bass players.
Okay.
Like, did I ever see Melissa Off Demar? Yeah, I did. Okay, so that tour was then, right? And
did you ever see D'Arcy?
Oh, yeah. Dude,
I just had to say D'Arcy.
People just need to let that shit go. Like, she's not coming back. It's never happening. And the people they have had since are so much better than her. And it's like, but her background vocals and song, I'm like, they have plenty of people that do
it's
that.
It's fine.
Now. But anyway, I don't even know where I was going with that anymore at that point.
Oh, sorry.
It don't matter. It doesn't matter. It
doesn't matter.
No, it don't.
We were talking about Kemba Live.
No, yeah, right. So I saw everything up to 2000. Yeah, I saw him I think it was 3-4 times in support of Siamese Dream. So I was like, cemented the deal with them because I loved Gish, but I never saw him. And then they came out with Siamese Dream in July, and the first time I saw them live was in November.
Okay.
So
it's like fresh off.
Oh, it was amazing, right? And so I saw them 3 times, and then the next time I saw him was in support of Melancholy.
Oh.
And that was at the State Theater. And it was actually, it was like 4 or 5 shows before Jonathan Melvin or whatever died. So then they like paused it and everything.
Postponed everything.
But I mean, I thought back, I'm like, I saw Smashing Pumpkins at like their height.
Yeah.
And Melancholy was really like Simon's Dream put them up to the top. Melancholy was like, all right, you're really at your pinnacle. At the State Theater or the Fillmore in Detroit, and like that's like 2,500 people or something. And that's like those shows like cemented where those small venues are just like, if you can see those bands like in those small venues, it just is a whole different experience.
Yeah, it absolutely is, man. We saw one of my first shows, I think, at the State Theater. My dad took me and a couple of my friends to see Jewel.
Oh, nice.
And we had front row center seats to that. Like nothing in between us and the stage. The freaking opening act was the Rugburns, and Steve Poltz stage dived into my dad's lap and then sang him a love song. But last time I saw Jewel was at Blossom in outside of Cleveland.
Right.
Though when you get the chance to see them in those smaller venues, and I guess I'm from Detroit, like I don't think of the State Theater. That's one of our like mid-sized venues,
right. The State Theater is like the place you're super excited that you're seeing someone that you want to, like Portugal the Man, we're going next week, and it's at Royal Oak, and we're main floor. I'm like, I just saw Ben Harper there, and it was like me to you.
Yeah.
like
I think that shows.
I'm not necessarily the hugest Portugal the Man fan, but I love a lot of their music.
I've heard they put on a great
and they
show
put on
too.
a great show, and they're literally. It's at Royal Oak.
It's a Friday night.
It's a Friday. It's next Friday. It's literally 6 days from now. I can't wait.
Yeah, they're playing Cleveland too. That's another one's on my list, but I just have to bite the bullet.
So
I'm kind of like, let's see what the two dudes say.
Royal Oak is actually sold out. Royal Oak is sold out.
Ours is not. So check the Access app, because Ticketmaster only has resale tickets. But the Access app
is the one
has the actual tickets.
Or go to the venue.
Yeah.
Go to the venue and buy the tickets through the venue.
Yep.
And that's what I found recently, because I just sign up for the shit and they send you all the shows coming.
Yeah.
But like if you go to the venue, you can just buy the tickets right through them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, it's just so much easier and whatever. But that's what we did for Portugal the Man. You bought them right through Royal Oak. And then
that's cool. I've got to see what you guys say. I don't think they're playing Cleveland till later.
I was going to say, when are they?
Later, I'm super excited about that. Gosh. Plus just their story. They were playing for like 10 years, and then finally, out of Alaska, of all places, right? All of a sudden a song breaks, and then they're traveling all over the world.
I've listened to them a lot, and every song is good. Every song is good.
Then I posted about a movie called We're All in This Together.
I have not watched that yet.
So it is a guy named Daniel Troya. He's the director, but he's also the guy that stars in the documentary. But he rides a bike from basically LA or California all the way to New York.
Oh, no way.
And he leaves with no money, no food, no nothing, and just talks to people and not bangs, but tells them what's going on, and some people give him some stuff, and they tell him how they've had hardships or whatever, and he garbage picks food that looks perfectly perfect, but they throw it out because they have to.
Is any food picked from the garbage perfectly perfect?
It was actually, if you watch it, I was almost like, is that staged? But it's like, no, it's at the end of its life, so they just
I'd
throw all this shit. He pulls out these bananas perfectly, but they're past their time, so you throw them away instead of whatever. But it's a movie. But anyway, Portugal the Man does the soundtrack for it.
Okay.
So excuse me. I ended up actually connecting with this Daniel. He's the director or whatever, and it's just it's a cool movie. I would tell anyone to watch it. Just, if you like documentaries, and I'm like a sucker for a documentary, it's a good one to watch. It's a good feel one to me. And for me, it was it almost reminded me of the concert.
Yeah.
He's going across countries, meeting people, talking to them, and they help him out. I went to a Fish show. I went to not a Grateful Dead, it was the other one show. And it's you walk through and do you want a grilled cheese? It's like a community, and that's what they kind of took care of this guy.
That's
along
awesome.
The way, so.
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, it's a cool one.
Cool.
I would have recommended to anyone, especially if you like documentaries, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So, I had a couple of things down here. So, things you have coming up, any shows?
Dude, I've got like 27 shows on a list of things I want to see
right now.
So what do you got confirmed?
Here's the thing.
We got about 10 or 12.
All right, so here's the thing
crazy, which I love. It's the best part about our job here.
Yeah, right? It's a tough job. So Blossom is our local pine knob down in Cleveland. It's in Cuyahoga Valley National Forest.
Yes.
It's a Live Nation venue, and Live Nation sells a lawn pass for that venue.
Oh,
and
wow.
it gets you into a lawn seat at every show for the season.
How much?
$239.
It's insane.
I'd buy it.
Unbelievable.
Did you buy it?
So
Did you buy it?
yes.
Oh, and this is so you did it. Is this the second time?
This is the second time I've done it.
So you did it a couple years ago. Took a year off.
Yep,
And did it. Is
exactly.
that what you did?
Yeah. So basically,
Are you upset you didn't do it last year?
kicking myself so hard.
You missed so many good shows.
When we didn't do it last year, we ended up. I mean, we went to a few shows still, but that's the thing with the lawn passes. You're like, man, do I really want to? Like, am I going to pay $75 to go see Hank Williams Jr. play Blossom?
But it's basically free at this point.
But yeah, I have.
Right.
Yeah, I'll go. And then what we do sometimes, if it's a band we're not like super pumped about, we'll get there super early, so we get a good parking spot, and then we leave before the encore. And you can check the set lists ahead of time and see what they've been playing where, and know if you want to leave or don't want to leave.
Right.
Now, Erin, you have the freaking in on
She's got
all the
it
concerts.
So-
She's got it down.
What a great.
Well, that we talked about set list FM or whatever.
awesome.
Yeah.
And it's so fun. Like, how you said, you check it, so you can
Right.
kind of get a feel of what's coming up. And I mean, actually, Smashing Pumpkins last year, they played like the same set every single
Right, yeah.
And eventually, like, okay, well, I know they're not changing it up. But the other good thing that thing's for is to go back and look at those concerts that you vaguely remember to see what they actually played. Because, Neil, when we went to Lou Reed at St. Andrews, which to me, that is always probably like one of my favorite, like best concerts. Like,
Yeah.
Whether overall the best, maybe not, but just everything about it, right? Lou Reed at St. Andrews in Detroit.
And
it's
we were really
iconic.
close.
And we were right
7
there.
people back.
But then I went, literally in the last few weeks, looked at the set list, and his last song that he played that night was "Perfect Day"
Oh,
from Trainspotting.
yeah. And you don't want to miss that. That's what I mean. Like, you can't leave early, and you can't leave early if you check it ahead of time.
No, absolutely. And now you can
Yeah,
check it.
you couldn't back in the day.
Then I'm like, no. And I was thinking, no matter what, I may have missed every single opener for like the first 20 years of concerts I went to because I was always partying. Like, right now,
Still miss the openers.
We still miss some. But I like to try to make them as much as possible. One, it's content. Two, it's also, bands that are up and coming. And that's what we used to do.
Right.
You'd find those bands because they were openers.
Well, and that's how I'm wearing my Lindsay Lou hoodie right here.
Right.
I saw Lindsay Lou. So I saw a band called the Lone Bellow, who I was introduced to because they opened for Brandi Carlile. And now I'm seeing them headline at the Kent stage, which seats like 600 people. And Lindsay Lou opened for them. And so, I was watching somebody I discovered as an opener and discovered somebody who was their opener. And Lindsay Lou's like my favorite artist at the moment.
Right.
So you can't miss those things.
No. And that's kind of what we've kind of...
Well, with Hoover 1, and then
Hoover 3.
Hoover.
But no,
I was talking about their
that one for
previous
sure.
band.
But the other one, like when I went to...
two editions before.
They're so much better now. So much better. When it's 3 is the best. No, but another one was when I went to Liz Fair and it was Blonde's show that opened up. I'm like, wow, they're really good, And actually, like I said, that was the merch I walked out of there with. But so I've said to myself, I need to get there earlier and see more of the opening acts. And I've done that, and I'm really glad I have.
Yeah, man.
Because I went through that stage of where you find like those obscure bands and you follow them through,
right?
Or you follow the local, to the bar scenes. But like you finally get to the age, and you're almost like, I don't have time for that anymore. I'm sorry. I'm telling someone else do the work for me.
Yes.
Let me know what's going to be good coming up, and I'll start following it.
It's like when like the internet is like, you liked this, so you may also like.
Right.
Right?
Exactly.
But no, I do have some other shows coming up. I have I'm trying to think of the order, but I'm the one I'm most excited about is Louise Post from Veruca Salt. So
Okay.
I'm a huge Veruca Salt fan.
That's one of those bands where like I remember Veruca Salt. Of course, I probably just caught what was mainly their main stuff.
Can't fight the cedar.
Right. But then it's like, but they were good.
Yeah.
Like I knew they were
So
good. Like, but for me, it's like you only have so much time for so much music.
They
but
only have two
albums,
two original albums.
But you have always been a fan, and I believe you made a trip to Vegas, though, didn't you?
I did. Yeah, I did. I flew out to Vegas by myself, and I met a couple who were friends of a friend. And I mentioned I wanted to go to Vegas for the show, and my friend was like, "Oh, I have friends that are going." So we met up in Vegas, and I went to the show with them. But
you were literally like you flew out. Was it the day of the show or
day of? Day
you were
before.
there like you were literally there for like 36 hours. If I remember.
Oh yeah.
You didn't go to hang out. You went.
Nope.
Flew in, went to the show. Next morning, flew home.
Man.
But that's what music's about too. Like if you're dedicated and you want to see something, you go, you do what you got to do. You drive your 6 hours to go see it, and turn around and drive home.
Well, and so when Veruca Salt was in its original form, Nina and Louise and the guys, they were my favorite. They broke up. Louise continued to tour as Veruca Salt, and this was in the days of MySpace. She was touring. I'd already seen her a couple times live, but her manager or somebody put a message up on their MySpace page and was like, we're looking for people to sell merch on our tour stops. So I gave my information. The day of the show, I'm at work, and I get a text message on my little flip phone that's, hey, can you come sell merch at the show? It was at the Hayloft Liquor Stand in Mount Clemens.
Seriously?
And I was like, yeah, I can come. So my boss was like, go. I leave. I drive to Mount Clemens. I go on the tour bus, and I'm helping the friggin' guy, roll up the T-shirts. Louise comes on the bus. We're chatting about I was beside myself. I was not old enough, and not old enough to drink yet. I don't think.
Oh no.
But no. Right.
That's meaning that's amazing.
Right. So, I got to talk to her about some of the music. I go in. I set up all the merch with her roadie or whatever. And then the show's about to start, and someone comes and gets me and says, hey, there's a spot for you in front of the stage. They had someone during the show come take over for me. I watched the show from directly in front of the stage. After the show, I went backstage, and they're like, hey, where's a Denny's? And I was like, I don't know. And everybody wanted Denny's. So I got into a van with Louise Post, the other chick in her band, who's Nicole. And the opening act was this band called Agent Sparks. We all get in the van and drive around Mount Clemens looking for a Denny's. Found one, and I got to share pancakes with Louise Post.
That's awesome. Hearing that story.
That is the highlight of my concert experience. And so to now, I don't know, 20 years later, to be going to see her again in Minneapolis. It was actually supposed to happen last year. Got postponed because she got COVID and just got rescheduled. So I've got VIP for that.
VIP in Minneapolis.
Louise Post, yeah.
When is that?
That is March 22nd.
Oh, so that's coming up.
Yeah, that's coming exciting. Up. Then I got tickets to see Lisa Loeb.
Yeah, I saw that the other day. Yeah. That's
it.
Everyone loved her because she was cute in her glasses.
I know, the cat-eye glasses, right?
Glasses.
Super excited. Noah Kahn's coming to Cleveland at Blossom. Hosier's coming.
Oh, God, I know. And so that is one, I wanted to go see him. I hate saying his name because I never say it.
I think that's right. I think.
No, I think you nailed it. Hosier. But he played Freedom Hill last year. and it was like completely sold out. And I remember going like aftermarket. Tickets were like $200.
That's insane.
And I'm like, you know what? I really do like and I think I've never been to Freedom Hill, so I was like, I know it's similar to like a Meadowbrook, right?
Yeah.
So it's small, like half the size of Pine Knob. It's like those shows are super cool.
Yeah, they're very cool.
Very intimate and, you know.
Meadowbrookish.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And so I'm like, but I didn't pull the trigger. And then apparently he's got a tour, and then he just added shows, and one of them happened to be Pine Knob. And it's May 31st, which is Avery's graduation night. It's a Friday night. Like Detroit usually gets like bent over and fucking railroaded every time Tuesday, Wednesday for every show.
Yep.
We're going to Sasanto, which is Primus, and Perfect Circle, and Pussifer, is like a fucking Tuesday. Pumpkins is like a fucking Thursday. These people it's all Michigan and Detroit area get screwed because we'll go
I was thinking you'll show up.
You just show up. But like all these other places that they're hitting weekends because they know that's, you know, which is a testament to Detroit. And you know what? I'll go every fucking time because it's that awesome.
Right.
You know, I went straight from work to Kalamazoo, almost 2 hours to watch Diggable Planets by myself, and turned around and drove home. But the whole time I drove home, I'm like, oh my God, that was so awesome. I'm so glad I did that. You know?
Yep, that's exactly what I did for Lindsay Lou. I was like, it's awesome.
Right, and that's why I've gotten to the point, I'm like, I'll go to so many shows alone, but I mean, moving forward, I don't know, I wasn't doing more of it.
I was thinking I'd only been to like the Violent Femmes. I was like, that was my first solo show. And then I started thinking about it. And it's like, no, not even close. I've been to so many shows by myself.
And the beauty, you're not tied down to anything.
No, you can
move all over. Do anything you want to do.
I did, man. I moved from this part of the floor to that part of the floor to up on these steps.
Right.
So like there's no one to be like, I don't really. And it's way easier to move into
and you're not
places.
You're having a good time because you love the band. That person's like, yeah, I kind of like them, but like,
I'm not worried
I used
about.
to be the guy, like, I'd rather pull someone with me to go and hang out, but now I'm like, no, stay home. I'll just go by myself because if you don't like it, it's a downer.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
I want to be able to enjoy it all, and I know I'm going to enjoy Diggable Planets if I go by myself, and if people want to come, great.
Yeah,
but you know what? No matter what, I'm going. And that's where I've kind of decided in my life where I'm at 48 years fucking old. If I want to go to a show, I'm fucking going.
Right, yeah, just go, man. Just go.
Well, because you might never see them again.
And especially if, like sometimes Amy and I talk about going to...
So for one, you saw The Who.
Yes.
Were they good when you
They
saw
were
them?
great, dude. And Joan Jett and the Blackhearts opened up. And
that was my first concert. Joan Jett opening up for Aerosmith, and she fucking was great.
She's
that was
still
1990,
great.
But still.
I saw her open for Heart a handful of years ago, too. She's incredible. But, that Who show was...
Because Neil loves
surprisingly excellent. They were excellent.
But it seems like later on he kind of sucks at singing.
The voice. I mean...
So when you saw him, was it good?
It wasn't. I mean, it wasn't.
When did you see him?
I lived in
like
Columbus,
16?
so like probably 7 years ago or so.
He probably had a voice, but
it wasn't. I mean, it wasn't perfect, but he sounded great. The band sounded great.
Better than he does.
Carries it.
Townsend.
And it was a great show. I mean, it was just a great show. Yeah.
Like, I mean, no matter what, whether his voice is killer or not, but he's one of those ones where it was like. I really liked him in the 60s, but as you started hearing him, it's like, and then plus his whining about people smoking pot and being allergic. Oh, I'm so
what a dork.
I can't do it. I'm allergic.
I'm allergic.
Yeah. Sure you are, Roger. Get the fuck out of here, bro.
That almost came out my nose.
So I wasn't sure. I wrote down here. Have you been to Red Rocks? Or you
I have been to Red Rocks
twice.
Twice.
Who'd you see?
Twice. Brandi Carlile.
Both times.
Both times.
Who opened up? Who opened up first?
Blind Pilot and the Lone Bellow, the first time. And then the last time, Allison Russell and the Indigo Girls. So the second show was much gayer than the first. But it was, oh my God, the Indigo Girls were incredible. I've seen them a couple of times, but I feel like there's something about Red Rocks that, like, if you put us up on stage and called us a
It'd be
band and we
amazing.
played it, people would love it. But that venue is so cool.
I think you're already just so in the moment that no matter what, like you said,
Yeah.
whoever's playing, whatever it sounds like, it's just like.
I mean, and there's literally no bad seats there.
So the one, yeah, and the Big Head Todd always plays a show every year because they're from Colorado.
Okay.
And it's June 8th, and I think I posted, and you're
Yeah.
like, oh, you need to go.
So
And I'm so like that is, I think, probably the show I want to see the most is
Yeah.
Big Head Todd at Red Rocks.
So
Because they are amazing. They're from Colorado. The only problem
Yeah.
with that is it's June 8th and Avery's birthday is June 9th.
Why is
The
Avery?
only
He's got all these events. That,
I know he's all over the place. This guy,
These effects.
but that's why I started thinking maybe we could turn it into a birthday party.
I mean, I'd go for my birthday party.
I think it's a Saturday. It's like a quick weekend to Colorado
Yeah.
to see like literally one of them. I love Big Head Todd. Like when I said they're my favorite band, I'm like they're not my favorite, but I love them. But I love them live.
Yeah.
Like that is.
That makes
music's
a
great.
difference.
It does. It's such a difference when you
Yeah.
go and just watch them play like that blues, like
Yeah.
kind of that alternative backed by blues.
Mm-hmm.
Which I mean,
He has a really good voice.
yeah, he does. And I mean, they did some great covers. They did the Tangerine by Zeppelin, but Petty. And
Yeah.
I thought it was TP and the HBs, but no, it was just Tom Petty.
Not just Tom Petty.
Yeah, it was just TP.
It was
TP.
But yeah,
That's what I wish I always would have seen. I never saw Tom.
I didn't
You
either.
seen Tom Petty
There's
a
no-
couple times, didn't you?
and there's no excuse for it because he toured so much. He toured so. And
I know.
Like you always
It's like
say,
I
you
say,
never
like,
know. Yeah.
Oh, I'll catch him next
Yep.
time.
Oh, yeah.
Man, that
But
was a
if-
heartbreak. No, I did not intend
I
that.
never
said that was a
expected
heartbreaker.
that. Now that we're talking about Tom
Right.
Petty, remember the Traveling Wilburys?
Yes, I love the Traveling Wilburys.
Which is it's Tom Petty, it's Bob Dylan,
Roy Orbison was
Harrison,
in
Roy
them.
Orbison, and Jeff Lynne.
Yes.
And like, do you remember when that came out? You're like, what the hell's up with all these old ass people? But I just saw some of them. They were all like in their late 30s when that came out. But they looked like they were at least 57 years old. Every one of them.
Tom Petty especially and Roy Orbison. They looked. I swear they came.
Orbison looked like he was their father.
They came out of the womb looking like they were 65 years old. I swear. 'Cause
That fucking stream.
Those glasses were at least fucking
not too
3 inches
straight.
thick.
I always thought Roy Orbison was an old man. Like always.
He didn't look any different from like the 50s, from the 90s,
Yes.
or whatever it was. He looked exactly the same, just in color.
That's all that happened as he aged. He changed from black and white to color. But yeah, going back to Red Rocks, my stance on Red Rocks, especially if you've never been, is just plan a trip to Colorado that fits into your schedule during concert season,
whatever
and
show
whoever
it's
is
at. It
playing
doesn't
go.
matter.
And like
Right.
that place, you can even go when there's not a show, and
Yeah.
you can go into the amphitheater. You
Right,
can,
that's what
like,
I've seen.
yeah, I mean it's
I've seen that
incredible.
where people are posting pictures. You just are you're there, but I mean, I've always wanted to see a show. And you know what it goes back to is probably Dave Matthews. Because they always used to release those like live,
Yeah,
live
right.
CDs and like double CDs, and there was always everything you'd see live at Red Rocks,
Yeah.
and then you'd like go into your computer at the fucking lab in college and like, you're like what's Red Rocks? I don't know, Pine Knob.
Yeah, I mean, in Red Rocks, like you can make a whole day of it. There's hiking. There's
Right.
the town of Morrison's right there. Like
Hiking.
I actually,
Yeah,
we almost
it's
got
actually-
bit by a rattlesnake hiking
No,
Red
what?
Rocks. Yeah, it's
I mean, that's the thing.
Morrison,
Colorado's
it's
one of the most
Morrison,
beautiful
right?
states ever. You know, I mean, it's absolutely gorgeous.
yeah. So I,
So you do have another one coming up. I think Avril Lavigne, if I
yeah,
remember correctly.
yep. So my nieces were huge Avril Lavigne fans, and that show came up. They want to come to Cleveland. Who am I to tell my nieces no? Let's
That's
go.
amazing. So
Let's go.
you're
So-
going to Cleveland then.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
awesome.
They're coming down, and
So
we're
yes,
gonna go to
your niece and my daughter I took both of them with my wife to see Avril Lavigne at Pine Knob.
Oh.
Which I DT. Like,
yeah, whatever.
It was Pine Knob.
It's always Pine Knob.
I want to say it was like 15 years ago at least. They were maybe like 12. And we took them to see Avril Lavigne. And she was the main act. Like,
yeah.
I mean,
oh, yeah.
That was like in her heyday. And I tell you what, she put on a goddamn good show.
I bet she did.
And it was Pine Knob, so, I mean, it was still super full, too, because you had the whole Canadian contingent.
Oh, yeah. That's always interesting.
Oh, my God.
In the Detroit area.
No, when we saw Tragically Hip.
Oh, yeah.
A couple of times. Or even Bare Naked Ladies at, like, Corn
Yep.
Fest.
Oh, Jesus.
When we saw Tragically Hip, like, it was, I want to say it was the Fillmore or State Theater. So super small, but you had all the people
Canadian,
and then all like, but I mean, it was packed, and it was just, it was a great environment. But no, that was when I saw you put about that. Like, that takes me back so long because that was the very first concert. Well, I found out that I took Elena too, and then your niece. I was the first one she ever went to ever. You know, which is great because I love that. I love like. Experiencing that concert goes back to what we talked about at the very beginning. Like, it's not just the overall experience that you have, but it's experiencing with those people that you go with.
Right.
And because sometimes you go with yourself, right? And your experience is great, but sometimes you might go with just one person. And that could be a significant other, it could be a buddy or whatever. Then we've been to plenty of ones where you go with, and there's like 10 effing people of it.
Yeah. Right.
And it's just a whole different thing because you have different experiences, not only within yourself, those 10 people, but then you with each one of those 10 people.
Exactly.
You have like your own different. And that's what's always been for me was it's not even necessarily like watching the band and listening, especially when you're like at Pine Knob in the lawn.
Right. It's
you know,
it's the whole experience.
And like a Lollapalooza or whatever, pick your other festival, and you got like 5 or 7 bands, and you're like hanging out and like But it's like those times and like those moments in time, and then when we get together like this, you like remember those.
Yep.
It's like, oh, remember just me and you, we were hanging out here, you know, when we did this, and the one I always remember with Neil's Oysterhead. Oysterhead in Ann Arbor. And that's Trey Anastasio from Fish.
Okay.
Les Claypool from Primus.
Oh, okay.
And Stuart Copeland from The Police. It was a 3-piece. And they did one album. And that was like when I talked about going on my offshoot, you know, when I started listening a little more Fish and whatever. I always liked Primus. And all of a sudden they came out with this album. I'm like, holy shit, this is awesome. Like, the best of like 3 different worlds.
All coming together.
And then they were coming and I'm like, hey, Neil, you want to go to this show? He's like, absolutely. And it was like, I'm like, I never thought they did anything ever since, but apparently they've done like a couple festivals, you know, here or there or whatever, but they've never done any albums or anything since. And I mean, it's those types of moments.
Yeah, that like you can't, like, I don't know. It's just.
It is. It's great.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's indescribable.
We could talk about it for like forever. And, you know, that does lead me kind of down the path of I think we're kind of close to where we need to, you know. So when I do talk about it,
I have one other thing.
All right, that's all right.
We should have done this earlier.
That's fine.
But
what do we got here?
I don't know if you recall, I put a post up on social media of a set list that I had from a Brandi Carlile show.
And
you said that would look great in the Two Dudes studio.
I do remember that.
I can't give you that set list because it was given specifically to me and Amy.
I don't blame you for that.
My wife. But I had another that's been sitting in a box for 12 years. And this is from a New Year's Eve show. And it actually belonged to one of the guitar techs. So it's got all their tuning notes, when they got to refill the picks, when they have to put lyrics out for the New Year's Eve Auld Lang Syne. They covered Nothing Compares to You.
Oh, wow.
And I threw a pic in there for you, too. So I thought that would look great on the Two Dudes studio wall.
Thank you very much.
Oh,
I appreciate it. That's so sweet. I can't wait to put it up.
Yep,
and it's got the pick and everything.
It's been in a shoebox for 12 years.
Well, it will find a good home, I can guarantee you that. No, I'm so happy you came. We've been, like I said, you've been one of our biggest supporters from day one.
Bam.
And
thank you.
Absolutely,
You
guys.
know,
Thanks for having me.
absolutely.
This is seriously one of my favorite. I feel like
You know, and I'm glad.
Please come
I've
back.
told a few people this.
Anytime,
I'm
man.
glad we waited till season 2. We kind of got our shit together a little bit. At least I'm confident we made noise. I'm confident we made noise. But I'm glad that you've been following us from day one.
Yes.
You're running for huge supporters. I mean, you're in a whole different city, so that helps us even more. And I know that we'll probably have you on future times coming forward. And we also need to find a show, and the one I'm looking at is Hozier.
Yeah, come on down, man. It's already highlighted in green on my
It's
spreadsheet.
during the week, but you know what? I tell you what, if you buy 2 tickets, I have no choice but
I got a long pass. I already got one, man.
well, then you buy me one more, and I have no choice but to Venmo you money.
I hear you.
I don't buy tickets anymore in Venmo.
If I just happen to buy a ticket,
I really want to
happen
see
to
him. I was
Venmo me the money.
disappointed I didn't see him last year, and I can't go to Pine Knob, and so Cleveland's the next best choice. So
Yeah,
I think
alright,
we should
man.
work that out. All right, thanks, Erin. I appreciate you being here so much. Awesome.
Absolutely, guys.
All right, thank you.
Of course.